And we are back. We are live. We are officially here. We're in person live, whatever you want to call it. You can comment, you can talk to us. We're humans. Let's go. How's it going, Jason?
Doing freaking fantastic, man. Getting after it. Just booked some EXPCon travel and reserved my ticket. Didn't jump in on the early bird like a dummy because I knew I was going and I knew I would be getting 5-time cut in stock, but whatever. It's booked, so can't wait.
That's good, man. That's good. That's good. That's exciting. I am excited to talk about boundaries today. I think it's something that everybody fights with, is like, yeah, I mean, the quote, and I know it's in the description here, but either, you control the day or the day controls you. So I think like whatever space you're in, it's something you got to deal with. But yeah, so I mean, so how this kind of got brought up was um I rearranged my calendar this week. And it's been hard for me. We hear you got to commit to the things that that make you money, the things that move the needle, right? The outbound activity or stuff like that.
Revenue generating activities.
Right. And I think I was full of shit because I think I had it there, but I let people schedule during that time, you know. And when I noticed that, I'm like, okay, here's the deal. 9 to 3, no, sorry, 9 to 3. Well, 9 to 12, nine,
Nice. Yeah.
9 to 3, 9 to 12, it's not being interrupted. Like, unless an emergency or it's got to happen, like that's got to be sacred. And I think working out was a big reason why that I was able to realize like the because you know I made it non-negotiable and I had time frames where it happened, and I made it non-negotiable because I just want to get healthier. And I've done that over the past year. So I took that borrowed belief and got results. Well, so I got the results, and then I took that borrowed belief from what worked for me there. Because I think this is really important as I'm talking with agents this past week or two. Is like you've done something in your life that you have a belief that got you through that you can borrow from that and use it here. So it's like, okay, so now I just need to take that same level of consistency, that same non-negotiable mentality where it's like I'm ready to fire this thing up and rock and roll. So let's put 9 to 12 Monday through Friday and make it non-negotiable. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where this came from. Talk to me about where you're at with your boundaries.
No, I love it because here's the thing, right? We all want to kind of stick to a schedule and then it kind of gets blown up, right? So, one of the things that I want, I'm going to be implementing something very similar to for morning revenue generating activities, right? Mine might be a little bit different than you. We have some different goals, but we have some similar ones. But, kind of what, and, I was teaching some team members on this last week is kind of what we do is we know the activities that we should be doing. Say, for example, prospecting 9 to 11 every day or whatever. But what do we let happen? We let that inspection happen between 9 and 11. We could say, hey, what about just doing it at 1? Or, like you said, any kind of things. And it's an avoidance thing that I think that we all have. And it's like, okay, well, I got it. It's like missing school, right? Remember back in the day, like you have something to be able to miss school and you'd be like so pumped up for it. And it's like, well, the activity that you should be doing, it's kind of like a hall pass to get out of it that day. So we let stuff creep into our schedule that we know we should be doing.
Right. Right. It's exactly it. And because it's the thing. It's like, things pop up, right? Like kids are sick or this or that. And I had a chat with somebody and I was like, because it happened. And I was like, do you think that things pop up like this often that you can't predict? So why is it okay to excuse yourself this week? Because it's going to happen in 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 7 weeks. It's going to happen again. Like, so every time your family comes in town or a holiday comes, like you're just gonna not continue to, especially in this business, because we don't get paid hourly. We only get paid um, by producing a result, for the buyers and sellers that we work with. And so like that's you've got to stay focused on what actually moves the needle. And we talk about that all the time, but making it non-negotiable, like that's the key here. It's got to be non-negotiable, and I say that, and we all hear that, but there's a difference, and because I think like I've been saying that for a long time, but you're not interrupting my calendar this week, except I have a dentist appointment on Wednesday at 11. It's already scheduled months ago. That's what's there. You know what I mean? And it's easy to say and hard to do.
Oh, for sure. And as soon as you want to try to implement a new structure to your day, that's when, life is going to test you, right? As soon as you say, hey, look, at 9 to 12 every day, I have ABC activities that I want to accomplish. What happens immediately when you try to implement that? You know, somebody's going to try to take advantage of your calendar, try to creep in on your time, right? So how do you, or what's your thoughts on, kind of being the gatekeeper of your time, right? And like you said, name of the show is Boundaries, setting those boundaries up for success because, for one, it's different for you as the team leader trying to set your own boundaries, but also as the agent setting boundaries between them and their clients as far as, what the expectation should be.
Well, the first and foremost thing is like the boundary doesn't have to straight up just be like not communicating with people during the time. Like that's one of the biggest things I want. Like it's really easy, and I had an agent that I had to coach with this a lot because there wasn't much reciprocation on the lead on the client side, and they weren't getting served. So I was like, look, just text somebody. Like if I'm 9 to 12 and I'm blocked off, and I get a text at 10, hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I will get back with you at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a second, and it sets the nobody, like when you just do that, like that's a big deal about the boundaries. So it's like have the boundary, but don't be, you know, ignoring people
Mm-hmm.
during it. And it's not that hard. I mean, I've been in and out of meetings like crazy, and that's I think when because I have control of my schedule, I know exactly when I'm going to have times to do the things. So it's
Yep.
not been an issue. So that's a big tip. That's a big tip.
Yep.
Um, the other side of it though is I had to get this mental thing together about being a hostage, that in that way. And I think John Cheplack was the one that had said that, but that hits me because it's like because I've been there and y'all have been there in any aspect of your life where you're a hostage to somebody else's time. Like here, if you don't think you have, who's been a hostage to the cable company or whatever coming, in a 4 hour window,
Yeah.
and you're a
I'll be there
hostage.
between 8 and noon and 7. It's like, what the? Yeah, for sure.
Got nothing else to do today but wait on you,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so I I refuse to be a hostage because I'm on a mission. I want to impact lives. I know that I've become a better version of myself, and I say this all the time. People probably gonna sick of me here, but good. I want to help others find that best version of themselves. Like that is what I'm driven to do, and I am not going to be a hostage to people that will not let me make that impact I want to make while I have this one opportunity in my life to do it.
Yeah. Um, so let's break it down as far as like an agent, right? So if you're setting up and setting boundaries for your day, we have a couple different tools that we kind of implement. One would be, kind of setting up your day for success. You know, hunt in the morning, eat in the afternoons, type of things. So you want to be, ooh, we got pop-ups, man. We're getting fancy, throwing shit out there.
I threw you off with that
Yeah,
one.
you did throw it up. I'm like, my computer's good. But no, setting boundaries, right? To hold your revenue generating activities, which would be as a team member, would be lead generation. You should always be prospecting and holding that time sacred. If somebody wants to schedule a showing during that time, hey, look at, I have some meetings, right? What you do, you have a meeting with yourself for that time, right? And I talked to a couple team members about this over the weekend, which is like, hey, I get that somebody needs to see a house between X amount of time or between that 9 and 12 time block, right? But or you have an inspection, or you have to go back through a walkthrough, but you need to keep that time sacred because you got to be prospecting and building business for the next deal. Or what if you're putting in all this time now, you're losing this day, and you'll say you'll get back to it tomorrow, so you're losing the momentum and everything that you have going on, and then it's like, okay, what that deal falls through, and now you lost all the prospecting time that you could have had, plus all the time that you wasted with the new deal that you thought that you were earning a commission on. So keep that time sacred.
Well, because it's like, I mean, you look at working out and it's like, of course you can say like, well, you know what, this week's busy because the NAR lawsuit has changed things and I've got to learn this. So I can't go to the gym this week because, well, you can say that. You can say that for something every week. We just joined Reside. I could say, you know what, I'm not going to go to the gym this week because there's a lot of my plate joining Reside. Or I could just continue to go to the gym because it's a non-negotiable. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, you got to make choices, and you're making a choice to not grow your business every time you don't honor that time, or in other aspects, grow your health, grow your relationships. If it's, honoring that non-negotiable time with your family, maybe it's for dinner, maybe it's something, it's this, somebody that doesn't have boundaries, like you're living everybody else's life. And email is a really big one here. It's a really good one because I love, somebody said, I forget who it was, and it never left my head, was, don't you feel like your email is everybody else's to-do list for you? Like it's like someone else's to-do list. And
Oh, for sure.
like, so for me, and this has been a long time, and I sometimes forget how important it is, but while we're talking on a podcast, it's good. Like, no way am I getting email notifications. No, I haven't for years. I'm not getting email notifications. I check it multiple times per day. It's a non-issue. I have OCD with it. I have like inbox zero problem. So I'll get there.
Yeah,
But
me too.
how can you focus on a human being on the other side of you if you've got your email going, your text going? Like, you've got to get your notifications in check.
Dude,
You know,
you work with some people, their phone sounds like a fucking circus band. It's like ding, 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 boom, boom, bing. It's like, how do you pay attention? Like my kids like that. A notification from this app, Snapchat, Instagram, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, how the hell do you pay attention to anything? No wonder why like the attention span for people is like so small. It's like, turn off all that. Step number one, if you want to start setting boundaries, right? Because as soon as what happens, if you have those notifications set, you see the little one pop up, right? And then what do? You take off your train of thought and then you go focus on somebody else's activity, right? Their email to you, right? And then you prioritize that or take care of that. And then you try to refocus on the activity that you know you should be doing that, right? Instead of just kind of time blocking that and doing that activity after the fact.
and let's give actionable steps. So let's I talk about 9 to 12 on mine, and that's why we tell but if you're a real estate agent, you're listening to this, it's an hour or two is all you need. It's an all of outbound, not follow up, outbound new lead. And Jason said lead generation, and sometimes I know I always took that as like actually like putting out an ad or a lead page or a landing page. No, just generating a contact, a conversation with a person you were not otherwise engaging with in your current real estate business, right? So spend 9 to 10, hopefully 9 to 11, right? So an hour minimum with a hope of a 2 hour per day. Like, okay, so 9 to 10. How can I how like how it's just 1 hour.
Yeah.
How can an inspection on it, how can that get in the way? If you make, say 9 to 11, your non-negotiable time with an hour of wiggle room
Yeah.
there, like, okay, today's showing at 9, and then Wednesday it's going to be at 10, but you at least have that other hour where you're there. Like, that's it.
Yep.
That's all you actually, because, in our case, we have, agents joining our team calls. We have, so recruiting calls, we have sales calls for because we're still in production, and we have our coaching of our current calls. So that's where the 3 hours comes for us, right? An hour of recruiting, an hour of sales, an hour of inspecting the database. So, and then if you're a team leader, like that's what it looks like. But, from an agent perspective, don't let that 9 to 12 thing that I'm throwing out here scare you. Like, you just need an hour, hour and a half. In my experience, it's about 20 dials out. You're going to try to have 4 conversations, 20 to 30 dials out, 4 conversations. Your answer rate might be different. It might take some more dials depending on your lead source and how warm your sphere is. It might take less if you have a super warm sphere maybe you have a really good social media presence, and everybody knows you, and you just, hey, how you been?
Yep.
Just, I mean, that's it. That's all we're
So,
talking about.
yep. So I would say 9 to 10 every day prospecting, right? Talking to somebody that you don't currently know. 10 to 11 follow up, following up with the people that you spoke to either last week or the day before, whatever, and kind of keeping those conversations going. 11 to 12, some kind of learning and role playing to kind of build your skills for the next day. And then have some lunch, kind of take a break out of it. And then, from 1 on should be all the inspections or appointments or contract or sticking to your deadlines or whatever. But here's the thing: if you don't have any appointments in the afternoon, that afternoon should be spent, creating appointments and going back and doing more prospecting or follow up or whatever you need to do to move the needle.
Which is good. I'm happy you brought that up because it brings another key point. If you slack on a day or life that, like an emergency happens or something, it's gonna, I'm sitting here boundaries and discipline and 100%, but there's obviously, nobody's 100% on 100% of the time. We're all about 80, 90%. That's what we're looking for. Just make 5 dials in whenever you can, just because the key is not to like come in here and just go, okay, make 50 dials a day, everything, blah, blah. The key is just like, don't skip a day when you have the time. You know what I mean? Like, just make 5 attempts out, just so you stay, because it's about building. It's about stacking the micro commitment. So yeah, this is really good. It's really good. I had a chat with somebody yesterday. It was about working out, and we had went to the gym a couple times, and um, you know, he fell off a little. And it's hard. It's hard. I get it. I mean, we all have been there, right? But he was looking to me like, what do you kind of do? And it's like, I mean, I still got a long way to go with my health and fitness, but I've been consistent for about a year. That's very solid. I can say that. So, he was asking me questions, and he's talking about meal prepping and all this stuff. And then he really came to me and he was like, hey, do you count macros? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, you have the magic shit. And I'm like, here's the deal. The 2 biggest reasons people don't take action is fear and overwhelm. Fear and overwhelm. You're talking to me about meal prepping, about macros, about calorie counting, about logging your calories, about this exercise, about all these things. And I'm overwhelmed just listening to it. I said, all I did at first, all I did was try to hit a consistent calorie level every day per week for 1 week, right? So I told him, I said, just do 2,500. Just do it every day. You got to log your food now, but all you have to focus on for 1 week is count the calories, 2,500 per day of everything you ate, right? And that's what you want to get, right? And I told him, I said, I focused on that for probably a month, right? Then once I got a full 7 days of doing it, right? The micro commitments, then I looked, what happened to my weight? Did it go up? Did it go down? Right? Did it stay the same? So then I'm learning what my calorie intake needs to be, right? Do I have a deficit? Do I have a surplus? And all that stuff. And then I could focus on the macros, the protein, the carbs, and the fat, right? But each of those phases was like 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, right? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't overwhelmed. It was one thing. So, but the key is like stack the micro commitment. So just stack, like if you're in a place where you're not doing any of this, maybe you've been an agent that's just been sitting back for years, just go make 5 attempts per day in a half-hour window. Just start. You know what I mean? Protect the schedule, right? But start.
Yep. And from the book Atomic Habits, it's so good to, go back to, like you said, stacking habits, right? Stack the habits that you hate doing the most. So if you don't like working out and you don't like prospecting, right? So if you start your day 8 to 9 working out, right? Just for an example, and then you stack that with immediately prospecting. If you did nothing for the rest of the day, you're going to set, that day's a win, right? Because you did the 2 things that, move the needle the most, and you got them over with the rest of the day. So if your whole day goes to freaking shit at 10 a.m., you could still say that day is a win. It goes back to, I forget the, geez, I'm so terrible with this, but the make your bed guy, the retired Navy, yeah, starting out your day and just making your bed, right? But the whole concept with that is if you wake up, you make your bed, right? You already got something successful out of the way right off the bat, right? And if your whole day comes to crap, at the end of the day, at least you'll come back to a nice made bed, right? So that kind of activity and that kind of thought process for it.
So yeah, and that's good. I'm just really good because okay, so we come into why we use a topic, and we throw all our stuff. But like an agent listening to this or a person listening to this, like I've been saying to a lot of people lately, I think so many people are stuck in a negative feedback loop because they don't do what they say they're going to do. Um, we've all been there, right? I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. I'm going to do this, and then we just get mad at ourselves, and then we just throw it out the window. I'm done. You're right.
Yep.
I didn't, and you lose faith in yourself. You know.
I just had this talk with Rick on the team, and I'll call him out, right? And Rick is in great shape, right? And I told them, I go, when are you going to put the consistency and, you know, dedication for what you do with your health and fitness into your business, right? If you are already on the one end of the spectrum with your health and fitness that nobody else wants to do, take those same things that you learned and applied and put it to your business. Like, why is that not a non-negotiable? You know, your prospecting time and all that kind of stuff, as your fitness is. Every day you're at the gym at a certain time for a certain period of time. You eat right, you exercise right, but you know, for your business life, you kind of let it happen to you instead of you holding that, you know, holding those boundaries and setting up your day for success.
Let's take that. That's really good because this is perfect. So, okay, maybe you're not Rick, and you don't have your workouts is have dialed in, and he's consistent with that, right? Okay, so you're listening to the show, and you're like, well, yeah, but that's not me. I'm terrible. I have no consistency. I bet you do a negative habit, like
Yeah,
drinking coffee or caffeine or alcohol or eating junk food or eating fast food. I bet you have a bad habit
I
that you
do all
do
those.
consistently.
I'm terrible with all of those.
So we have the ability to be consistent. That's what you got to understand. And that's, when you start to understand that, you know, the negative side of you isn't actually really any different from the positive side of you. We have to have both. We have to embrace those sides of us. But what you can demonstrate consistency with a negative habit. You just need to set up the same mentality and the same like desire and reward, mechanism in your head for a positive habit. You can take it, but what you need to understand is with your negative habit, you've demonstrated you can be consistent. So don't believe you're not consistent if you're listening to the show, because I guarantee you there's something in your life you're consistent with.
Yep. And coming up with that awareness, right? Like, oh yeah, I am doing that again. Or, oh yeah, every time you know, I want to prospect, that's when I'm sitting there you know, like you said, avoidance or you know, kind of just having that awareness. It's like, okay, every time I know I'm supposed to be prospecting 9 to 10, I'm checking my phone or checking my social media. So that's the trigger that you're taking and the action you're taking in place of what you should be doing. Um, for time, oh boy, yeah, Tammy's getting after it.
I love it. I love it. So this is really, really good. It's totally true. I think I've avoided early morning for a long time because I was lazy, but now having gotten it in the last year or so, yeah, a lot of times people are available in the morning and something hasn't pissed them off yet. And here's the thing, if they answer the phone, like they could have not answered the phone.
Hmm. Hmm. So I know you have a hard stop coming up, right? You got your big fancy masterminds and meetups and all that kind of good stuff coming up. But what do you say to the person that's like, hey, I'm trying to set boundaries, but I have this person that's always trying to, you know, get in my schedule no matter what, and they're not respecting my boundaries?
What type of person?
No, it could be anybody, right? What if, you know, hopefully it's not a loved one, right? You don't want your wife or
Right? 'Cause there's a big
significant other,
difference.
yeah, every time, hey babe, it's 9 to 12, I'm supposed to be doing this, and you know that's when you want to go, you know, take the baby to the park. It's like, no, I can't do that. You know, that's obviously a different dynamic. But
Right.
you know, like you said, um,
Okay.
team members that say they're going to come in and we're going to stick to these office hours or whatever we're going to do, and then like, hey, look, do you have time between this time? It's like, no, you know, it's got to be after.
Yeah, I mean, it is that simple. It's just, if you don't if you're too scared to say, I will follow up with you at this time, or I'm busy at this time, you just don't have standards for yourself. You're not respecting yourself. You're a people pleaser, and there's something, and I hate to be a little harsh with that, but I've been there, so I understand it. And you have to have your own standards, because you've all heard it. You've got to fill your own cup before you can pour into somebody else's. You don't want to try to pour from an empty cup. It's an ugly, ugly thing. So it's really, you have to have probably some, whether it's something we've said here today or something you go discover through other things that you watch. You have to have something that just resonates with you, like the hostage thing for me. Like, I will not be someone's hostage.
Yeah. Are you going to fight for yourself or fight for somebody else? Right.
And
At
if
the end
they
of the
still
day,
value you, like they'll be there. If they
Yep.
don't value you, they won't. By the way, like they might not. That's okay. You
Yep.
might not align.
Yep. They might need a different voice, or they might not need something else that maybe that you can't give them, and that's okay. You know. Um, But speaking of boundaries, we're going to be setting our boundaries, and a lot of people gave us feedback that they want us doing it live so they could comment and chat, and we could interact and all that kind of stuff. So moving forward, the show is going to be live every Monday, 1 o'clock.
O'clock. 1 o'clock. Yep, we'll be live. Well, and yeah, so comment in here and then sharknationlive.com. Go there. You can watch the previous episode, you can subscribe, you can leave us a message, you can find our Facebook group. We're just here to try to, help the people who want to live on the offense and not live on the defense. That's the shark mentality here. That's what Jason and I hope to embody every day.
So last thing I want to touch on before we wrap it up is this week we have a free mastermind open to everybody, 7 o'clock, our Shark Nation group. So
On
if you
Sunday.
follow us on Facebook, Chad will throw it in the chat. You could join up with the group. 100% free. We mastermind once a month, and that is actually this Sunday. So if you would like to join us, and we talk about all kinds of good things of what's going on in the nation now, come and see what we got going on.
That's it. I mean, really, the easiest way to, I'm going to throw it in the comments that it will blast out to, but yeah, go to sharknationlive.com, join our Facebook group. You'll get, the mastermind link will be in there. We'll post that a few times this week. It's open to anybody. Anything is fair game in real estate that we're going to talk about. But yeah, we'll be there Sunday night, 7 o'clock. That's our commitment once a month, the first Sunday. Would love to see you there. It looks like an issue happened with the comment posting. So whatever. Shark Nation Live down here at the bottom of the video. But yeah, I mean, I guess, what's the final thought before we head out here? What do you think changed the game for you and made you realize you needed boundaries? What is the number one thing that made you, have the realization that this is necessary for you and not just kind of an option or something that you should, consider taking seriously?
Yep. If I want to move the needle moving forward, right, I need to, commit to myself and that time frame, right? So, one of the conversations that I'm going to have with the team tomorrow is, hey, new time events for everybody, new team meeting times, because like you said, in the morning we're going to be doing this, in the afternoon we're going to have the meetings. So like I said, if I want to go where I want to get, these are the activities that I need to put in place right now.
That's it. You just got to be honest about it. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Well, great stuff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
Peace.